a king who was known for his frailty, his struggles, and the empire he could not save. Charles II of Spain is often remembered as the last Habsburg monarch whose reign marked the beginning of the end for a once mighty empire. But behind his tragic life lies a web of shocking secrets, politics, and family drama that were hidden for centuries. Today, we uncover 20 secrets about Charles II that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about him. Born in 1661, Charles II's life was a tragic saga from the moment he entered the world. He was the product of a long history of intermarriage within the Habsburg family, a dynasty whose genetic disorders ran deep. Charles's parents, Philip IV of Spain and Mariana of Austria, were first cousins, a union that would have catastrophic effects for their son. Although he was born into immense power, Charles was never destined for greatness. His physical and mental health issues would define his reign. As he grew, it became clear that his body was fragile, his mind even more so. Despite this, he was crowned king at just 3 years old, and the true rulers of Spain were his regents, who often controlled the empire without any regard for the king himself. In today's video, we're going to uncover 20 shocking facts about this king, secrets that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the fragile monarch and the empire he couldn't save. From his baffling health problems to the political scandals that shook Europe, let's dive in. First secret begins before Charles II was even born. His parents, both Habsburgs, were first cousins. This incestuous relationship was not unusual among European royalty, who often married within their own families to maintain power and preserve bloodlines. However, the repeated inbreeding of the Habsburgs produced a genetic nightmare for Charles. Charles II's birth was nothing short of tragic. When he entered the world in 1661, the Spanish court had low expectations, knowing that his lineage carried with it many genetic defects. His mother, Mariana of Austria, had suffered multiple miscarriages, and Charles's birth was considered a miracle, though it was clear early on that he would not be like other kings. One of the most iconic features of Charles II was his jaw. A result of repeated intermarriages, his jaw protruded so severely that it became known as the Habsburg Jaw. This deformity made speaking, eating, and even breathing difficult. It also contributed to his overall frailty and inability to communicate effectively. Charles II's speech was often unintelligible. Historians describe his communication as slow and slurred, making it difficult for his courtiers to understand him. His inability to communicate effectively meant that his regents had even more power, further reducing his influence over his own kingdom. From a very young age, Charles II suffered from various illnesses and physical weaknesses. His limbs were weak, and his energy levels were low, making it nearly impossible for him to participate in the normal duties of a king. He spent much of his time in bed, struggling to maintain any semblance of health. At just 3 years old, Charles was crowned King of Spain. His father, Philip IV, died unexpectedly, and Charles inherited the throne. But his age, combined with his health issues, meant that he would never truly rule Spain. His mother, Mariana, served as regent for much of his early life, making all the decisions in his place. One of the most tragic aspects of Charles II's reign was his inability to father an heir. Despite 2 marriages, he remained childless. His physical frailty and mental health struggles were often cited as reasons for this, and his failure to produce an heir led to a crisis of succession in Spain. Mariana of Austria, Charles II's mother, was his regent for much of his life. Even though Charles was officially king, his mother and her advisors controlled the empire. This would have a profound impact on the political stability of Spain, as various factions within the court fought for power over the young, weak king. Charles II's reign is often described as one in which he was little more than a puppet. The real decisions were made by the regents, advisors, and factions at court. His inability to make sound decisions meant that Spain was constantly embroiled in political infighting, leaving the kingdom in a state of instability. Charles II's court was a place of intense political rivalry. Multiple factions within the Spanish court fought for influence over the king, and this internal power struggle destabilized Spain. The most prominent faction was led by his mother, but others, including foreign powers like France, played a significant role in shaping his decisions. Charles II was constantly haunted by the memory of his father, Philip IV, whose reign had been marked by military defeat and political instability. Charles felt the heavy weight of his father's failures, and his inability to rectify Spain's decline only added to his suffering. Charles II's physical and mental weaknesses played a key role in the decline of Spain. His inability to rule effectively meant that Spain's empire was slipping away. Military defeats, economic strain, and political infighting only deepened the decline during his reign. From an early age, Charles II was plagued by illnesses. He had recurring bouts of fever, difficulty breathing, and digestive issues. His frailty meant that he was often absent from public life, a monarch who could never fully embrace the power of his crown. Charles II's marriages were purely political, but his inability to consummate them was seen as a great failure. His first wife, Marie-Louise of Orleans, was chosen to cement ties with France, but their marriage was marked by emotional distance, and they remained childless. His second wife, Maria Anna of Neuburg, was similarly unable to bear him an heir. Charles II became known for his reclusiveness. Due to his health issues and mental struggles, he spent much of his time in isolation, away from the royal court. His solitude was a reflection of his struggles to deal with his role as king. One of the more bizarre secrets of Charles II's life was his addiction to laxatives. His digestive issues were so severe that he became dependent on them for relief. This only worsened his health problems, contributing to his frail body and chronic discomfort. Charles II's death in 1700 was the end of the Habsburg Dynasty in Spain. Without an heir, the throne passed to the Bourbon family, and the War of Spanish Succession broke out shortly after. Spain's future was now in the hands of a completely new dynasty. By the time of Charles II's death, Spain was vulnerable to foreign influence. France, England, and Austria were all involved in the War of Spanish Succession, each hoping to control the Spanish throne. The weakness of Charles's reign left Spain exposed to these external powers. Charles II became a symbol of royal misfortune. His life and reign are often used as an example of the dangers of inbreeding within royal families, the instability caused by weak monarchs, and the tragic consequences of political manipulation. Thank you for joining us in uncovering the secrets of Charles II, one of history's most tragic monarchs. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of forgotten kings and queens. What other historical figures would you like to learn about next? Let us know in the comments below.